Right, folks, welcome back. Olin here. Just defeated King Boreas, we assume, anyway. And during the break, I went and did some selling of stuff, clearing out the inventory a smidge, bought myself a little skill book, used it to level up, Rebecca's, level up Rebecca's Geomancer from 2 to 3, so, and gave her another point of perception for just hoping to catch secrets and stuff that I might need to dig up around the world. So when we defeated King Boreas, he dropped the Elemental Staff, which is his three brothers, the three lords of wind, fire, and earth. They've been bound in this staff by the conduit, evil, horrible person that she is, and so we need to go back over to where we just came from, which was the Elemental Forge, to break the weapon. Oddly enough, doesn't seem to be any, haha, let's keep the weapons sort of options, which is the usual thing in these sorts of games, but, so I'm kind of surprised. There's no way to screw over the three and free the White Witch in some other manner. Is there a thing over? Just have to wait for our guys to path on over there anyway. Is there a... So the malfunctioning tunnel, is there anything we can do with this thing? I know it's there and really annoying. But... Is there no way to, fix it or destroy it or... Huh, okay. Back in this lovely imp blood-filled area. And, make your way to the forge, so we can hopefully free the elemental lords.
I mustn't have used it correctly.
What? So equip it, maybe?
I mustn't have used it correctly.
Oh, okay. Oh my, okay. Brother, sister, we are free, and who is this? Can it be that a frail mortal human-faced invested our own scheming Boreas? Ah, but this is no mortal, I see. Strange you'd take the guise of a source hunter, but I shall, of course, honor your chosen form. Indeed, I suppose I should have expected that one of your kind would snare our brother sooner or later. Boreas always did dance uncomfortably close to the dark arts, but I suppose the others of we elemental monarchs thought it better not to interfere in the affairs of his realm. No, like fools we waited for his pride, his hunger for more and ever more power, to pull us from our own seats of safety and into his sordid storm. We, and with us all the subjects of the realm of Fairy, do owe you our lives, Source Hunter. If, no, not if, but when we might be of assistance to you in this dimension, you must call on me personally. You have anything interesting? Oh, how strange. Who are you? I am King Sua of the Summer Kingdoms of Chaldea, brother alongside the other elemental monarchs to the unfortunate and insane Boreas. In earlier days, we ruled the four realms of Fairy in relative peace, each of us the master of our own kingdom. But something changed in Boreas. He grew darker somehow, more than was typical of his unusual melancholy. We worried, yes, but chose not to intervene. Boreas was the Lord of Hiberheim, and it was his right to rule as he pleased. When our brother called the elemental seats to convene in Hiberheim, we were ecstatic. Boreas seemed again interested in the joint rule of Fairy, and upholding the long-established diplomacy of our lands. When we arrived, however, it was not Boreas who greeted us, but a dark figure, a woman with a stare like blackest fire. In her staff she held a demonic power, the likes of which I've never felt, and as we were sucked into its depths, we thought we'd never see the light of Fairy again. What do you know of the woman who trapped you? I listened closely when I could to Boreas's doings. From what I could tell, it seems this woman had little contact with her deranged brother after the initial exchange of the staff. From what I could tell, the arrangement was thus. She gave him us, contained, and in return, he gave her access to his great starstone and scores of imps he'd invited to Hipperheim. After that, the two parted, and I had heard little more of the woman. In his fits of madness, Boreas would sometimes bellow abuse about the demon woman. I can only assume he meant the same who trapped us. Can you help me free the White Witch? Source Hunter, it would be my sincerest honor. Take this rune and use it to summon me when you're near the witch once more. If she can be extracted from Boreas's ice, I'll find a way to make it so.
Well, that's settled then. We'd best be on our way. The spring and autumn kingdoms won't rule themselves, you know. Our paths cross soon, Source Hunter.
Okay. And of course, I don't have the staff anymore. I was kinda hoping that I'd be able to use it. Unfortunately, what can you do? Alright, so, teleport into ye old prison. Because, you know, of course it's gonna have a waypoint there. I mean, how else is Boreas gonna come in and, you know, check on his folks? Right? I mean, yeah? I don't know. Still, it just so reminds me of...
the White Witch.
That's...
A prisoner in ice. I wonder what sorcery, or worse, sorcery, we'll have to use to get her out.
Haha. Use... Okay. This is your White Witch, then? And you're sure you want to free her, are you? Even our mad Boreas wouldn't have wasted such precious ice on a petty criminal. Whatever she did to find herself here must have been rather severe indeed. But I'm in your debt, and I would be remiss not to honor your request. Shield your eyes, Source Hunter. To melt ice of this refinement, I'll need to summon an equally rare flame. Should I... Me? I'll give it a go. This is probably gonna not be worth it, but what can you do? Alright. Hey! Ice exploded.
Well, hello there.
So her name is Akara, and, gods, it's colder than a witch's teat. How very callous of Leandra to inter her only sister in a barren tundra for eternity. Come now, Source Hunter. Is that the masquerade? Come now, Source Hunter, is that the masquerade? Well, what a motley crew we are. Isn't there somewhere a bit warmer we might discuss matters? What do you mean by masquerade? We're members of the Order of Source Hunters. Ah, yes, of course. Do pardon me, I didn't mean to imply you were very clearly eternal beings in the guise of minor mortals. Not at all. Please, let's carry on. Are you the White Witch? Oh, yes, I suppose I am. But I do prefer my given name, Ikara, that is. Charmed. Let's see here. Why, how do you become imprisoned here? First things first, Source Hunter. For my freedom I owe you every imaginable thanks. My soul had withered in this barren prison, and I might not have survived much longer without your help. I must say, though, that a Source Hunter was the last hero I expected to find before me at the moment of my liberation. But what were you asking again? Yes, this hard winter affair, the corrupted king. Boreas of all the ghastly brutes to face, I'll tell you now. When I realized exactly where and to whom my sister was consigning me, I was certain I'd never enjoy the sun's warmth again. But neither she nor I anticipated the Source Hunter. That was her mistake, and my blessing. Well, I hope I haven't disappointed my own hero. Am I just as white and witchy as you'd hoped? Tell me more about your sister. My own little sister, if you can imagine it after all she's done. She was always the more ambitious, the more exacting of us, and she had no fear of the darkness that so often accompanies Source. Her collusion with King Boreas in confining me here confirms my worst fears. She's become involved in affairs beyond her usual manipulations. She was planning something far greater than I could have anticipated. Until now, I considered my own supervision sufficient to curb the worst of her, but I fear her reach is extended beyond my own. For this very reason, and with a heavy heart, I ask you, Source Hunter, to find out how far exactly Leandra has become entwined in the dark arts. You stand accused of murdering the Caecilian High Counselor Jake. Oh, yes, a terrible business, that. I'm afraid we quite ruined that poor innkeeper's room, didn't we? When all this hullabaloo has been settled, I'll have to provide him with proper recompense for all the fire and brimstone we brought into his establishment. But forgive me, back to the point. Yes, I suppose it was my hand that killed the counselor, but murder happens to be an awfully grievous word for what happened. I'm more than happy to relay the whole affair if you're interested. So yeah, what actually happened the night he was murdered? We've heard several different stories. It'd be nice to know what really went on. It's a sordid story, to be perfectly frank. Two sisters, a philanderous, treacherous, wizardling fool, death and mayhem. Are you sure you're interested in such things? Yeah. The sparkle in your eye belittles your better nature, Source Hunter. Now I know that it's your duty to get to the heart of this, and in truth the events of that night were but one part of a larger and much darker matter, a matter in which I'll dare to beg your assistance before we're through with one another. Now, that dread night. It starts with two sisters, as I said, myself and Leandra. We share a certain bond, you see, a bond of no small import. Our very souls are forged together, so that neither of us will survive the other's death. This particular bond also gives us certain occasional windows into the other's doings, feelings, and senses. One night, as I dreamt, I had a sudden revelation, clear as day, no dream, but a vision. Leandra, my own sister, was engaged in a carnal embrace with my own paramour, that treacherous wizarding fool I mentioned. My heart broke only after I was already halfway to the Caecilian Inn, where I'd find them. I was determined to catch them in the act, but when I arrived at the King Crab, everything was wrong. Leandra had already fled, and Counselor Jake stood over the wizard, a knife in both hands, preparing to plunge a dagger into the heart of he who'd broken mine. I couldn't stop him in time. He drove the knife downward with all his strength, and the wizard's blood spilled forth. I had no choice. I couldn't watch him die, so I used the power I've long forsworn, Source, and sacrificed the Counselor to save him. His life spared the one he'd intended to take. I woke the wizard, and we fled before we were seen. If you were any other Source Hunter, I suppose you'd strike me down where I stand after that terrible admission. Fortunately for us both, you are no other Source Hunter. I'll take my leave. I hate to extend my own invitation, Source Hunter, but I believe I ought to accompany you to Zixax's hideout. Oh, do forgive me for presuming, but I'd recognize the imp's essence just about anywhere. Both he and you must learn more about the darkness that has extended itself into our dearest Rivellon, and I believe I know where we must begin. But unless that's a bear flailing through the threads of time, I do believe Master Zixax is on his way. Make way, Source Hunter, landing in 3, 2...
Until we meet again.
Oh, me, oh my, it's you!
Hunters, you've done it! Akara is free, and what good it does my impish heart to see her safe and bright as ever. Anything to sell? No? Okay. We have much to discuss. Come one and all to the end of time. A spot of something warm in the soft glow of the tapestry ought to do us all a bit of good,
There you are, darling Akara. You gave us quite the scare indeed. Now, if we're done playing hide and seek, let's not waste a jot more time. Oh, I just can't wait to pick your every synapse.
After you, Master Zixax.
So that's the White Witch, eh? I expected someone a little more evil. I can't say I'd cut her down for a steak, but she sure has fewer horns than I expected.
Yes, Medora, that's because you're a bigoted idiot. We've solved the murder and caught the culprit, yet this case feels anything but closed. There's more to this crime than simple fact. Killing a killer is hardly the same as killing an innocent, after all. We'll have to learn more before we can assess Akara's true guilt in this matter. Fortunately, she seems quite eager to tell us more about this entire dark affair. Yep. Alright. So, to the end of time! Woo! Come on. Alrighty. I guess you're over this way, I suppose? Yeah, there you are. Ikara? Why, I see Master Zixax is quite upgraded from his shabby little hut at the edge of the hour. So, from the fairy dimension to the space-time weaver hunter imp one, what do you call this place again? This is our homestead on the shelter plane at the end of time. Ha, is that so? It seems I have my share to learn about the magical world yet. The end of time. Well, suddenly your association with Master Zixax makes considerably more sense. A source hunter whisking a born sorcerer off to a private shelter plane, it's like something out of Malbini the Bard's Twisted Tales, don't you think? But I must say, it's no small relief to find myself in a safe haven, however strange, amongst powerful allies. Without your courage and cunning, I'd be powerless and I still. For that, I'm eternally grateful. So, yeah, let's start from the beginning and figure out what the heck is going on. Ours was a family of born sorcerers. It was in our blood, our very being, to interact with Source. But my parents were among those who were determined to curb the power that dwelled within us. But their meekness wouldn't save them from the Source Hunters. So, you mean someone from our own order killed your parents? They came on a quiet morning. Leandra and I were playing games on the cabin floor when our mother rushed in, her eyes wild with fright, and commanded me to take my sister and hide ourselves outside among the trees. Even at that young age, we knew not to question her. We climbed high into the branches of an old tree nearby. We held each other tight, and before we could look away, watched as our parents were cut down without ceremony before our own front door. The Source Hunters clapped each other on the back as they sauntered away, wiping their blades. 2 more sorcerers dead. A job well done. Alright, well, what became of you guys? From that moment on, everything was different. As we trembled in that tree, something happened within us. Our fear, our wounded souls, and above all, our desperation were so potent that the magic within us began to weave together. We couldn't have known it then, but the soul forge was sealed. We would survive, thrive even within those woods, never speaking to outsiders. We knew that if any knew our true nature, of the source within us, we'd soon meet our parents' fate. I spent my time brewing potions, the legacy of my mother and father. I crafted every manner of healing tincture, and I began my work as the guardian of Luculla's forest, Luculla Forest's many creatures. But Leandra's capacity was enormous. Each bit of magical knowledge was like a crumb to her. She was insatiable. Source didn't frighten her, and she delved into that dark well with terrible regularity. So what happened between yourself, Leandra, and the wizard? My sister and I were mired in a solitary existence, witches among the trees, when the wizard came. Both of us were intrigued by this knowledgeable stranger. He knew we were sorcerers, but paid that fact no mind. Leandra especially couldn't leave him be. He was a feast of information, and she wouldn't rest until she'd absorbed every bit of knowledge he offered. For his part, the wizard hardly seemed adverse to the attentions of such a sharp, enthusiastic pupil. Their days were spent on charms, dragons, hexes, and blessings and relics. Ooh, what do you bet the wizard is Arhu? The little cat guy. It would work, right? He's just far more, he seems helpful, but he turns out to not really be a good guy in the end, right? Anywho, at night, Leandra would wander off to practice what she'd learned, and the wizard and I would settle into our quiet talks. Me working through the many great tomes he'd bring, and he engulfed in his letters and his diaries. We were a content trio, the 3 of us, but base impulse would undo us. So what do you mean by base impulse? As you know, Leandra and I were soul-forged. This offered us a window into one another's psyches, and both of us were sharply aware of the feelings we'd each developed for our pleasant guest. He was the first outsider we'd known in many years, and the thrill of his company and his goodness had fast worked its way into our hearts. But it was me to whom the wizard confessed his love, though he'd spent nearly every waking hour feeding Leandra's insatiable mind. It was those quiet evenings with me that had captured his heart. I, the world's finest fool, thought our odd little family would survive this development. The wizard and I prepared to tell Leandra. It was the single most selfish thing I've ever done. Her heart broke the moment we announced our new attachment, and I felt the pain of it as sharply as a knife. She fled without a word, and I didn't see her for 2 terrible years. My connection to her, our soul forge, grew weaker. It was as though some third entity, a parasite, were atop our souls, sucking the strength from it day by day. So it's true, you are a sorcerer. That I am. But there's much more to our kind than they teach you at your academy. Source is more than blood and madness. It's like lightning, a current of great strength and great power, rare and exquisite, deadly and destructive. We sorcerers are like metal steeples. Source is drawn to us, and it flows through us. We can no more easily change that than the steeple can ask not to be struck. But what so many fail to understand is that Source can be controlled. We sorcerers can choose how to handle the force that flows through us, and can choose not to wield it. The power drunk through history have earned our kind a terrible reputation, and we've suffered awful consequences in kind. What consequences do you mean? You have no idea, do you? Tell me, Source Hunter, in all your hours studying the arcane arts, in your days and weeks spent learning the deadliest methods of removing heads from shoulders and hearts from chests, did your great masters ever suggest that perhaps not all sorcerers were evil? Did you ever hear, even once, that some of us were small and weak and innocent, that we were simple forest folk healing the sick and frozen each winter? Small children, daughters, perhaps, who'd hide and hold each other tight when you'd run their parents through? No, I doubt they said such a thing about it. I doubt also they'd mention that one day this hunt of yours would birth a broken soul powerful enough to deal with Winter King, to grow Death Knights, to inch all Rivellon towards oblivion. You mean to blame Leandra's doing on we Source Hunters? No, that would be going too far, and eschewing far too much of my own responsibility. I believe Leandra's long fall down did begin at the hands of some of your own order, but it was me, my foolish heart, and a foolish wizard who sparked all of this. What's next? How do we stop her? We have a single order of business first and foremost. Leandra is gathering an army, and I fear we'll have to get through it if we wish to find her. But first we must learn more about Leandra's plans. How many of these so-called Immaculates does she have in her palm, and to what end is she directing them? Your journey must begin in the Luculla mines, where she has begun accumulating materials and manpower for a purpose as yet unknown. The way will be dangerous, her allies are growing more powerful and numerous by the minute, but we must discover exactly what Leandra is planning and why. So what can you tell me about infiltrating the mines? A soul forge comes with its own benefits, Source Hunter. Though our connection is weakened, I still see the occasional vision of Leandra's doings, the pangs of her deepest felt emotions, and flashes of her triumphs. One vision I had thought it was only a nightmare, but now I see it was something much worse. Leandra is collecting materials, precisely what I cannot say, and is hard at work shaping them into something sinister. Her frustrations are rivaled only by her mirth. I can see she's growing closer and closer to achieving something dire. You must make your way deep into the mines to see exactly what she's planning. Let's discuss her recent operations, shall we? She's my sister, my soul, and she ever will be. But what she's done is unconscionable. Since childhood, Leandra has shown a certain disregard for caution and propriety, but she wouldn't have dreamed of harming a living thing. I believe our soul forged has been damaged, by what I can only guess. Still, this dissolution of the bond between us has left Leandra adrift in a well of sorrow and misery, and she truly believes will never end. Leandra is mired deeply in sorrowful moments from our past, and all she needs is a hand, my hand, out of them. If our soul forge is repaired, I remain certain she'll cease blazing this path of destruction. Well, let's discuss the soul forge, shall we? I cannot condone the terrible things she's done, but I can seek to understand them. With our soul forge in such tatters, I believe Leandra is adrift in the not all inconsiderable sorrows of our lives. What's more, I sense a terrible force bearing down upon the bond between us. It's hungry, growing by the hour, and consumes ever more of Leandra's mind and soul. I cannot say exactly what this force might be, but I'm certain it's both driving me out and driving Leandra on. If I could only repair the forge, I'm certain she'd realize her errors and put a stop to this madness. Okay, so what about the mines, then? The way may be treacherous, but you may get inside, but you must get inside. I fear my sister is doing something dreadful so far from the light of day. I'll take my leave then. Zigzags, anything to say?
Back! The source hunter is back!
What can you tell me about Akara? Quite a card, isn't she? I never know whether she's the one, I can never know whether that one's going to offer a striking commentary on my efforts to record the Great Dwarven Wars, or a potion meant to turn my tongue blue for a week. She and I have run the same sort of magical circles for, well, not as long as I can remember, but close to it. Once in a century or so, I'll pop in while she's experimenting with a particularly interesting charm, and we'll share a mug of glow wine and a discussion about this and that. Quite glad you brought her here, I am. When Akara's here, there's nothing to fear. That's what she always tells me, anyhow.
Bye for now.
Okay.
What did you find Highbeheim this time of year, dear?
Cold, Master Imp. Very, very cold.
Okay. No. Okay, so what's the journal have to say? Anything. Alright.
How did you find Highbeheim this time of year, dear?
Cold, Master Imp. Very, very
Let us go, before we go back to the forest, let us go to the castle really quickly. See if we can get past that, the crazy barrier in the back of that first room. Yep, there it is. Well, okay, it may not have actually been closed. It may render again when I get closer with my characters. Yeah, like that. Well. So... Huh. Okay. Does this do anything yet? No? Okay. No. No. Still, they say there's something weird going on with these with these little sentinel statues. No. Alright, alright. Well, okay. Not finding any little buttons or anything like that. Let us go to the forest. Hopefully have better luck there. Actually, no, I'm gonna see if I can do anything about the mine really quickly. I do need to actually go do a video about. I went to go see that a new movie just came out today, Sex Tape, and I need to do a movie review for that one to put up on my YouTube channel. So I need to record that, edit it, and put it up. I mean, it doesn't take a bunch of editing, but it normally takes. I normally stutter over what I'm going to say, or it doesn't come out quite right here and there, so it takes a while to actually record the video. Usually maybe about an hour for a 10-minute video. And a lot of that is because I don't write it down. It's mostly just off the, not really off the cuff exactly, but it's not like a planned sort of thing either. You know, because I'm not trying to necessarily do like a full fantastic huge review. I'm just trying to get around my get out my opinions and sort of try and give people a feel for what they'll see when they see the movie. You know, if they like, I'm trying to get across whether or not you'd enjoy it or not. So it's not just did I like it or did I not. It's sort of why. And I've noticed a lot of reviews seem to ignore that why part. They spend a lot of time just bashing it and sort of talking down their nose at it, or really just blowing it up, and you don't ever really get a feel for why the person's talking about how fantastic it is. I don't know. But spoilers, Sex Tape is not good. I was kind of hoping, like, it looked like just a stupid comedy, a stupid summer comedy, and last year there were a couple summer comedies, like, what was it, This Is the End, and, what was the movie about the fake family? You know, the guy needs to go to Mexico and drive all the drugs across the border. I forget the name of that movie. But both of those were, they looked really dumb and really stupid in the trailers. But in the long run, I actually ended up quite liking them. I mean, they weren't like best movies ever, mind you, but they were entertaining to watch, fun little films. So I was kind of hoping for something like that. Unfortunately, was not the case. As I said, it was just bad. It performed the most criminal of all comedy film sins, which,
Well, what's this I've spotted?
it was just not funny. Like, it was more awkward than funny. I gotta say. Like, and not awkward in that Family Guy sort of awkward that actually can be kind of funny at times. No, this is that awkward in that you know the actors are really trying and they're giving it their all, but the source material is just bad, and you feel uncomfortable and awkward for watching them give their performance. It's not a good thing, honestly. It's really not. It was just poorly thought out. Static cloud arrow. What is that steam doing over there? Anywho. Oh my. And lure each and all of them to our pet presence? Ha, what a fool you are. Excuse me, madame. So... there are orcs here. I'm kind of curious, if I move forward, will I just get into a fight, or will I have conversation first? Let's find out. Saving, saving, saving. Oh, come on, computer. There we go. Oh, no, it's just a fight. Alright, well, in that case... let's do awesome by this, shall we? Lay down ooze and then explode it. It's my favorite thing to do. It really does a lot of damage. It's fantastic. I encourage everyone who plays this game to, like, pair up characters, like pair up magic powers, so water and ice. Like if you cast rain and you cast that little, cold spell, it doesn't do anything except for chill an enemy. You think that's stupid, right? It's like an instant freeze spell if the enemy is wet. By the same token, there's a lot of sort of combinations between earth and fire. Specifically, that ooze and specifically that ooze and fireball combination, which is just magnificent. I know I didn't need to save again because I just loaded it, but silly habit. Oh, she's gonna get out of it before... oh well. What do I... you know what? I think I'm just gonna lightning bolt her. Ow.
What's that? Attack? Humans are attacking?
Yeah, so much fun. No. It's not nearly as much fun as when they cast a fireball on me. I will admit that. Ow. Ah, what the hell? Right, well, Wow, that did a lot of damage. Um. There we go. We want to take care of that ranger ASAP. Um. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna blind him. It seems to work very nicely on a lot of spells. And haste on Elise because it's fantastic. Ow. Just really ow. Okay. Die, elite man. Alright, Let's get that orc fighter. Yeah. Wow. Rebecca might potentially die. That's not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. I mean, it's not completely insurmountable, but it's still... Ah! Okay. Cure wounds? That cure wounds is such a fantastic thing. Unfortunately, it has such a long cooldown. It really, like 20 turn cooldown, that's just absurd. I mean, okay, it wouldn't be nearly as good of a it wouldn't be nearly as good of a heal if it didn't have such a long cooldown, but you know, it just 20 turns seems really, really long. Maybe that's just me, but alright, die with fireball. There we are. Ha! Alrighty. Okay. Heals, orders, more orders, healing potion, healing potion. Rebecca's Mass disease scrolls icon is radioactive waste. Fantastic. Read the orders. I, Grutilda, hereby declare these papers are carried by members of my tribe or humans who have sworn allegiance to me. You shall let them pass or suffer the full wrath of my ever-sizzling ire. Signed, Grutilda, praise be Amenhor. Her orders. Being the least likely to disappoint me, your contingency has earned a crucial mission. Retrieve the bloodstones of Luculla Forest. Rumors suggest you focus your search on the hidden cave of a fool named Maradino before laying waste to the village of heathen goblins to the north. Destroy their idol and seize the bloodstone within. When you are finished with these, turn your attention to Silverglen. Spare not a single filthy weakling in your search. Loic, the abbot of the Immaculate Chapel, would surely rather part with his bloodstone than his head. Relieve him of both. Remember, I prefer bloody stumps to empty hands. Grutilda, the avatar of the All-Mother. Alright. Interesting. Parchment. Ah. Stupid party mechanics with movement and blah. Alright, this parchment. Maradino is watching you, and he hates the grimy fingerprints of strangers. Signed, Maradino the Benevolent. Alright. Let us burn away that horrible, horrible stuff.
Look out! I see a trap nearby.
How did I... Nah. Oh my. Those look like nice little things for... Unfortunately, I don't have anyone who uses shields. I really sort of wish I'd be using Medora quite so much, because I would have made like a one-hand sword and board kind of character with leadership, instead of the two-handed with leadership. But what can you do now? This game does not seem to have any sort of respec capabilities. It's kind of unfortunate, actually. Respec is a handy little thing, especially in games where you don't, you know, where you don't really have any foreknowledge of how things work out and like what's useful and what's not. I mean, I had some, but that was mostly focused on the magic side of things when I played through on the little pre-release thing.
Seems to be enjoying the afternoon sun. I'll bet we can slip by while his back is turned. Better to avoid a conflict now than to have to face every goblin from here to the mine.
I see. Well, let's try that again. Shall we? Actually, let's go the other way, see what's up off and to the left there. Oh, bother. Alright, well, you know what? It is getting late, and I need to make that video before I go to bed, so I'm actually going to stop it here, and sort of restart it, so next time I play, I'm gonna be starting through at these orcs here. Can't believe I didn't save after fighting the orcs. Stupid me. Well, anywho, if you liked what you saw, I'll be playing Divinity Original Sin again next Wednesday, I believe. And if you liked, you know, follow, subscribe, like, yada yada yada. And till next time, folks. Later.